Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, the place where we help you become a confident, fluent English speaker. I'm Brain, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Anna. Hi, Anna.
Hey, Brain! And hello to all our listeners around the world. We're so happy you're joining us today. I really think this episode is going to help a lot of people.
Absolutely. Today we're talking about a problem that almost every English learner faces at some point: how to speak fluently without hesitation. You know, that feeling when you want to say something, but your words just don't come out smoothly, or you pause too much, or maybe you're searching for the right words in your head.
Exactly. And the worst part is, the more you hesitate, the more nervous you feel, right? Then it just becomes harder to speak.
That's so true, but don't worry, in this episode, we're going to break it all down for you. We'll talk about why people hesitate, what you can do to stop hesitating, and we'll share practical tips to help you speak more naturally and confidently.
And stay with us because later in the episode, we'll even do a fun mini fluency challenge right here on the podcast. You'll see how simple it can be to practice speaking without hesitation.
Yeah, and remember, this podcast is all about real English learning, the kind that helps you speak in the real world, not just pass an exam.
So grab your notebook or just relax and listen. By the end of this episode, you'll have a plan to speak English more fluently without those long pauses or awkward silences.
All right, let's dive in. First, let's talk about what it really means to speak fluently without hesitation. All right, Anna, before we get into the tips and strategies, I think it's really important that we first answer this question: what does it actually mean to speak English fluently without hesitation?
Yeah, great point, Brain. A lot of learners think fluency means speaking super fast or using very advanced vocabulary. But that's not true. Fluency without hesitation means you can express your thoughts smoothly and clearly without long pauses where you're struggling to find the right words.
Exactly. And I like to say it's more about the flow of your speech, not the speed. You don't need to speak like a race car to be fluent. Even native speakers take little pauses, but the difference is they're not stopping because they're stuck.
Right. And fluent speech without hesitation means your words come naturally. You're not stopping all the time to think about grammar rules. You can focus on sharing your ideas instead of worrying about making mistakes every second.
Let's give our listeners an example. I'll try to speak with hesitation first. Listen to this. Yesterday I went to the market and I bought some fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, we've all heard that kind of speech or done it ourselves. Now let's hear the same sentence without hesitation.
Sure. Yesterday I went to the market and bought some fruits and vegetables.
So much smoother. It's not super fast, but it's clear and natural. That's what we want our listeners to aim for.
And here's another key point. Speaking fluently without hesitation doesn't mean speaking perfectly. You can still make small grammar mistakes, or choose a simple word instead of a fancy one. The goal is to keep the conversation moving.
Exactly. When you can do that, people will understand you, and that's what communication is really about.
All right, now that we're clear on what fluency without hesitation means, let's talk about why so many learners struggle with it. Okay, Anna, now let's get into the heart of the problem. Why do you think so many English learners hesitate when they speak?
Good question, Brain. There are actually several reasons, and most learners experience more than one of them at the same time. The first big reason is fear of making mistakes.
Yes, that's so common. I've met so many students who know the right words, but they're so afraid of saying something wrong that they pause, or sometimes they don't speak at all.
Exactly. They think, what if I make a grammar mistake? What if people laugh at me? And that fear makes them hesitate.
And here's the truth. Everyone makes mistakes when learning a language. Even native speakers slip up sometimes.
That's right. Another reason people hesitate is because they're translating from their native language in their head.
Ah, yes. They think of the sentence in their own language first, like maybe Spanish Chinese or Pashto, and then try to change it into English word by word.
Exactly. And that takes time. By the time they've translated it, the conversation has already moved on.
That used to happen to me when I was learning French. I'd be thinking in English. And by the time I figured out the French, the other person was already talking about something else.
I can totally relate. Another reason is lack of confidence. Even if you know a lot of English, if you don't believe in yourself, you'll hesitate. You'll second-guess everything you say.
That's so true. And confidence comes from using the language, not just studying it.
Absolutely. Let's not forget limited vocabulary. If you don't have enough words to express yourself, it's natural to pause and search for the right word.
Right. But what I always tell my students is don't stop. Just use the simplest word you know. For example, if you don't know the word delicious, you can just say very good for food.
Yes, communication first, fancy words later, and there's one more reason that causes hesitation over thinking grammar while speaking.
Oh, yes, that's a big one. People try to build perfect sentences in their head, past tense plural forms, articles, prepositions, and they freeze.
Exactly. It's good to learn grammar, of course, but when you're speaking, it's more important to keep the conversation going.
So to sum up, the main reasons learners hesitate are fear of mistakes, translating from their native language, lack of confidence, limited vocabulary, overthinking grammar.
And the good news is once you understand why you hesitate, you can start working on how to fix it.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about next, how your mindset can help you stop hesitating and speak more fluently. All right? Now that we've talked about why learners hesitate, let's get into something really important. Your mindset. Anna, how does mindset affect fluency?
Oh, mindset is everything, brain. The way you think about speaking English really shapes how you perform. If you're always worried about making mistakes or being judged, your brain will naturally slow down. You'll hesitate more.
Exactly. It's like you're putting up a roadblock in your mind before you even start speaking. But if you focus on communicating your idea instead of trying to speak perfectly, your words come out much more easily.
That's so true. And here's the thing. English is just a tool for communication. It's not about perfection. When you shift your mindset to I want to connect instead of I must speak perfectly, you'll feel more relaxed.
I love that. Connection over perfection. That's such a powerful idea. And when you feel relaxed, your brain works with you, not against you.
Yes. And another part of the right mindset is accepting mistakes. Instead of thinking, oh no, I said that wrong, just move on, keep going. People won't even notice most of the time.
Totally. I tell my students it's better to speak with small mistakes than not speak at all.
Exactly. And here's a little mental trick that helps me in other languages. Think in ideas, not words.
Oh, that's a great tip. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. Instead of trying to think of the perfect English sentence in your head before speaking, just think about the idea you want to express. Your brain will help you find the words as you go.
That's brilliant. So, for example, if I want to talk about my day, I just think, tell Anna what I did today, not use the correct tense, choose a fancy word, don't make a mistake.
Exactly. It helps your speech flow naturally.
So, to sum up, a good mindset means focusing on communication, not perfection. It means accepting mistakes as part of learning. And it means thinking in ideas, not just words.
That's right. And when you do, that hesitation starts to disappear because your brain is focused on sharing, not on fear.
All right, Anna, now comes the exciting part. Let's give our listeners some real practical strategies to help them reduce hesitation and speak fluently.
Absolutely. I think the first big one is this stop translating in your head. This is a major cause of hesitation. When you're always trying to change your native language into English word by word, it slows you down.
Yes, I always tell my students, think directly in English, even if it's simple English. At first it feels strange, but the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Exactly. Even basic thoughts like I am hungry or this is my book, say them in English in your mind. Make English your first thought.
And that brings me to the next tip. Use simple words and phrases. Don't try to build big, complicated sentences, especially when you're practicing.
Yes, it's better to say I don't like it than to get stuck trying to say I find it rather unappealing.
Exactly. Communication is the goal, not impressing people with fancy words.
Another powerful strategy is speech shadowing. This means you listen to a native speaker, maybe from a podcast, YouTube, or a movie, and you repeat what they say at the same time like an echo.
Oh, yes. I love that one. It helps you get used to the natural rhythm and speed of English. And because you're focused on copying, you don't have time to hesitate or overthink.
Right. And here's one more: speak slowly at first. A lot of learners think fluency means fast, but when you try to speak too fast, you trip over your words.
Yes, and if you slow down a little, you'll actually sound more confident. You'll also have time to think about what you want to say.
Exactly. Let me add this: daily speaking practice is a must. You don't need a speaking partner every time, just speak out loud to yourself.
Great point. For example, describe your surroundings. Like right now, I could say I'm sitting at my desk. There's a cup of coffee next to me. I can see my notebook.
Nice. And here's mine: I'm looking at my computer screen. The weather outside looks cloudy. My phone is on silent. See? Easy, simple sentences, but powerful for fluency.
Exactly. And if you want to take it to the next level, record your voice and listen back. That helps you notice where you pause or get stuck.
Definitely. And let's not forget, join speaking clubs or language exchange groups. Real conversations help reduce hesitation faster than anything else.
Yes, because you're forced to respond in real time. And even better, you realize that people are friendly, and nobody cares if you make a mistake.
That's so true. So let's quickly sum up these strategies. Stop translating in your head. Use simple words. Practice speech shadowing. Speak slowly at first. Talk to yourself daily. Record and review your speech. Join speaking groups.
And if you combine these strategies with the right mindset, hesitation will slowly fade away.
Exactly. And in a few moments, we'll talk about fluency killers, the habits you want to avoid.
All right, Anna, we've shared a lot of good strategies so far. But I think it's also important to talk about what I like to call fluency killers, those bad habits that make people hesitate even more when they speak.
Yes, sometimes it's not about what you should do, it's about what you should stop doing. One fluency killer I see all the time is overcorrecting yourself mid-sentence.
Oh, yes, that's a big one. People start speaking, then stop to fix a small mistake, and then they lose their train of thought completely.
Exactly. It's okay if you say something a little wrong. Just keep going. The goal is to communicate, not to sound like a textbook.
Right. Another fluency killer is only practicing silently in your head. I've seen learners who can write or think in English beautifully, but when it comes time to speak, they freeze because they haven't practiced moving their mouth and tongue to make the sounds.
So true. Speaking is a physical skill too. You have to actually say the words out loud to build fluency.
Another habit that kills fluency is obsessing over grammar while you're talking.
Oh yes, you can almost see people's minds spinning. Was that past simple? Should I use the question mark? Did I pronounce that right? And by the time they figure it out, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. There's a time to study grammar and there's a time to just speak. During conversation, focus on sharing your message.
Here's one more fluency killer, using long, complicated sentences when simple ones will do.
Yes! Sometimes people hesitate because they're trying to build a really complex sentence when something easy would work just fine.
So true. Just say what you need to say in the simplest way, and your fluency will improve.
So, quick recap, fluency killers include overcorrecting yourself mid-sentence, only practicing silently, obsessing over grammar, using overly complicated sentences.
And once you drop these habits, you'll notice your hesitation starts to disappear.
That's right. Now let's move on to a really fun part. How to train your brain to think in English. Okay, Anna, this part is really exciting because I think it's a game changer for learners, training your brain to think in English.
Absolutely. When you can think in English, you stop hesitating because you're not translating from your native language anymore. Your thoughts flow straight into English words.
Right. So let's give our listeners some simple ways to build this skill. I'll start. One easy method is to label the objects around you in English.
Yes. So, for example, right now I'm looking at my keyboard, my coffee cup, and my notebook. Instead of thinking of those words in your native language, say them silently or out loud in English.
Exactly. And if you do this often, your brain starts connecting directly to English without that middle step of translation.
Here's another one: narrate your actions. Let's say you're making tea. In your mind, or out loud, say, I'm boiling water. I'm pouring it into a cup. I'm adding sugar.
Oh, I love that one. It turns daily life into practice time. You're thinking in English while you're doing things.
Yes, and it keeps the language active in your mind. Another fun way is to do mental role-play conversations.
Ah, great idea. So imagine you're at a shop or talking to a friend. Practice what you would say. For example, hello, can I help you? Yes, I'm looking for a jacket.
Exactly, and you can even do this when you're walking, waiting in line, or commuting.
Another powerful method. Listen to short sentences from native speakers and repeat them in your mind or out loud if you can. This helps your brain get used to the natural patterns of English.
Yes, even just 5 or 10 minutes a day makes a difference. The key is consistency.
So true. Let's quickly list those tips for our listeners. Label objects in English. Narrate your actions. Do mental role plays. Listen and repeat short sentences.
And remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is to make English the first language your brain reaches for when you want to say something.
Exactly. And once you do that, hesitation naturally goes away.
Okay, up next, let's have a little fun with our mini fluency challenge.
All right, Anna. It's time for the moment everyone's been waiting for, our mini fluency challenge. This is where we show listeners how simple it is to practice speaking without hesitation.
I'm ready, brain. What's the topic?
Okay, here's an easy one. Describe your favorite food and why you like it. Ready? You have about 45 seconds, and remember, no hesitation. Just speak naturally.
Got it. Here we go. My favorite food is pizza because it tastes delicious and has many different toppings. I like cheese tomatoes and sometimes pepperoni. I enjoy eating pizza with my friends on weekends. It's a fun and tasty meal.
That was great, Anna. Nice and smooth, you spoke clearly without any long pauses.
Thanks, brain. See, listeners? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just say what comes to mind in simple sentences.
Exactly. And here's a tip for our listeners. Pick easy topics, like this one, your favorite food, your daily routine, or your hobbies, and practice speaking about them out loud every day.
You can even record yourself like we said earlier and listen back to see how you improve.
The more you practice, the easier it gets to speak fluently without hesitation.
So, who's ready to try the challenge? Remember, Just keep talking, no stopping to fix mistakes or think too hard.
Awesome! Next up, we'll help you create your own no hesitation speaking plan to keep this going every day. All right, Anna, we've talked about mindset, strategies, and even practiced live. Now let's help our listeners create a simple plan to keep speaking without hesitation every day.
Yes, the key is consistency. Even just 5 minutes of speaking practice daily can make a huge difference over time.
So here's what I suggest. Pick 3 easy topics you feel comfortable talking about, like your daily routine hobbies or your favorite movies. Set a goal to speak about each topic for 1 or 2 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be perfect or long. Record yourself if you can, then listen to see where you pause or hesitate. This helps you improve.
And don't forget, try to think in English during your day. Label things around you, narrate your actions, or do quick mental conversations. This keeps your brain in English mode.
Exactly. And most importantly, don't worry about mistakes. Focus on keeping the conversation flowing, and your fluency will grow naturally.
So, listeners, your challenge today is to create your own no hesitation speaking plan. Start small, be consistent, and watch your confidence soar.
That's it for this section. Next, we'll wrap up with some final thoughts and a fun challenge for you all. All right, Anna, we're coming to the end of today's episode. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yes, brain. Remember, fluency without hesitation doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice, the right mindset, and a willingness to speak even when you're not perfect.
Exactly. So, here's a challenge for everyone listening. Today, take 1 minute to speak out loud in English about anything you want. It could be your day, your favorite movie, or even just how you feel right now.
And don't stop, keep talking, no matter what. Don't worry about mistakes or pauses. Just keep the flow going.
We'd love to hear how it goes. Share your experience in the comments or send us a message.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and share it with your friends.
See you next time on the English Learning Podcast. Keep speaking, keep improving, and remember, fluency is within your reach.